Hey girls, Erin Davis here with week 8 of our LiveYoungWomenBelieve.com summer book club. Sadly, summer is winding down, and so are we. But this week's theme was a big one, disposition. All throughout the study, we've been studying Titus and how Titus describes godly women. And Titus encourages submission. My question for you is, how do you feel about that word, submission? Do you cherish it, that disposition of submission? Do you regard a submissive disposition as desirable and beautiful? Do you hold it as far away as possible? Kind of like this stinky sock. Now, I'm not sure if you are aware, but I recently took a 20-mile walk. You can read about it in the link I'll include in the post below. That is a long way, and this is the actual sock I wore on that trek. You should be glad you can't smell me through your internet, because it is stinky. And oftentimes, that's how we treat submission. Ew, it stinks. I don't want anything to do with it. It's old-fashioned. I don't like it. And that is our disposition towards submission. I've been there. I get it. But the Lord has worked in my heart so that sometimes, not all the time, I have a different disposition altogether when it comes to submission. So I want to give you 3 reasons to embrace submission instead of holding it out like this stinky sock. First is that God calls us to it. That's throughout the Bible, and I'll link you to some passages specifically in the blog post below. But when God calls us to something, we can know it's for our good. God doesn't give us rules to torture us or to make things turn out poorly, but the things God asks us to do are for our good. So we can embrace submission with happy hearts because we know the God who has our backs asks us to do it. The second reason I would encourage you to embrace submission is that He Himself modeled it. When you read about Jesus before He was going to the cross, it wasn't something that He wanted to do. But in that garden, just hours before He died for us, He said this to His Father, "Not your will, but mine be done." I don't want to do this, but I will submit. So when that's our disposition towards submission, we are modeling Christ. And the third reason I want you to embrace submission is because it tells a bigger story. Because it puts this story on display that we were just talking about, the gospel, where Jesus submitted to the will of the Father in order to rescue us. So when you stop holding submission out like a stinky sock, you tell a bigger story. Ephesians 5:21 teaches all of us to submit out of reverence for Christ. So you don't have to submit because you want to, and you don't have to submit because it feels good. But God calls you to submit, and it's for your good. I'm going to give away several copies of a great book on this topic by my friend Kelly Wehunt. Keep reading to the bottom of the blog post below to find out how to